Good evening, everyone. After up. Okay, start. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Gudino from Majorda, and we are here today. आम्ही सगळी एकठांय जाले हांगा यूथ आख्खो दुसरे गांवची एज रायज एज वन गोवा. ओके, हे 3 प्रोजेक्ट जे गव्हर्मेंटान पास केल्यात तांचेर आमी निशेध मारतात आनी आमची 5 मागणी, आमची रिक्वेस्ट आमी गव्हर्मेंटा मुखार दवरतात. So now Leander will start with the discussion.
Good evening, everyone, and it's great to see so many people have come here. Okay, it's great to see so many people gathered here. So first of all, I would like to start by saying thank you for coming out here. It's great to see so many people taking up for this. So yesterday we were having a meeting about how we'll go about with this and how we'll take care of everything, how each one will speak. And we have a suggestion to give to the press, and let me give it to you all. Let me give you all a headline or at least a part of it, right? Tokenism, revoke the project, and then have a discussion with us. Now imagine winning a lottery, okay? If 1,000 people play, the 1,000th person will win. So at the cost of 999 people, the pooled money, one person benefits. And that is what is happening at Mollem. At the cost of the lives and livelihood of 1,521,875 people of Goa, one person away benefits. Let me elaborate. We have been told this development taking place and it's all for the benefits of the Goans, right? But in reality, I feel like they have misplaced the definition of what development is. What's even possible is because of the comment letter, they have misspelled destruction. I don't know. Mollem is a beautiful place, and what is happening there is pure destruction. They say development is taking place, but development at the cost of 70,000 trees, and that's the number given to us before the cases were filed, before it was objected. And what I know best is 2,000 trees were cut even before that, and 2,000 that I am aware of. So at this cost, is it development or is what is happening destruction? With the little number that I've screamed out, again, is it development or destruction? Is it tokenism or do we have transparent knowledge? Now let me tell you all what tokenism is. I've been saying tokenism for a while. Let me tell you what tokenism is. According to Wikipedia, it is a practice of making only a pre-functory or symbolic effort to be inclusive of members of minority groups. Okay? In simple words, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, it is the fact of doing something, permit me to read it so that I can get it right? The fact of doing something only to show that you are following rules or doing what is expected or seen to be fair, and not because you really believe it is the right thing to do. What you might be saying is, well, jobs are created, right? There's development taking place, destruction happening, but there are jobs being created. From what information I've received from my personal trip to Mollem, is that after the members filed an RTI asking what jobs are there and who is getting the jobs, let me quote. The jobs are lined up as follows. There are jobs for the Sarpanch, his kids who are not even going to school yet, people in power, if you all know who I mean, people who have jobs already are lined up with jobs. And why does this happen? Because of pure destruction. Pure definition of how jobs are lined up just so that their projects can get through. So again, is it development or is what is happening tokenism? But you might be saying, hey, I hear reforestation is taking place, right? Isn't this making up for the destruction that is being done at Mollem? Now, I would like to request you all personally, if you all haven't been to Mollem, a lot of kids from here have been to Mollem. But if you all haven't been to Mollem, I request you all to take a trip there. Obviously, take precautions, but take a trip there and especially go to the place where reforestation is taking place. Now, when I went there, to my luck, the reforestation was just being started there. And let me tell you what is actually happening, okay, in case you all can't make it. It is a hilly area and a rocky hilly land. They were literally drilling through the rocks to plant saplings. Okay, they were planting saplings through the rocks. Now there's little or no water supply at all. So the water supply that is given is very complicated and can be disrupted very easily. What's even worse is that there's no even 1 meter distance between two trees. Now there are trees like tamarind, mango, and there's a creeper planted. It's planted. Okay, I'm not even making this up, but it's planted. And there's not even 1 meter distance. So the trees won't have space to breathe and come out, won't have roots to go through, and then it won't grow. So this is just being done to show that reforestation is taking place. Again, does this match the definition of what tokenism is? It's up to you all to read. But what I hate most is if you'll destruct what is happening in Mollem, there's thousands and thousands of species of plants and trees that are going to be going extinct. Let me use the word extinct because you can't find those trees, and to plant them again is very difficult, and that doesn't happen. Let me read out this amazing factor that I read online, right? So, you all know that Mollem is a part of the Western Ghats, right? One mature tree, they absorbs around 22 kilos of carbon dioxide each year. 22 kilos. And a new sapling absorbs 6 kilos. So see the difference between that. And felling 70,000 trees will be a lot. And I can't even begin to tell you all how difficult it will be for all the Goans and the Indians because it is a part of the Western Ghats. Let me not get into the depths of what is happening with regards to the roads, but what I would like to say is our people have been very, very generous when it comes to giving. I don't know if it's because it's Christmas or because the plan started in February 2019. Maybe it was Valentine's Day, I really don't know. But it's not yours to give away, neither is it mine. It's protected for a reason, and we can only imagine if these plans go through, what will happen next. Although we would oppose to it, be transparent and do not use a tokenistic approach with us because clearly it's not working out. If it was working out, we wouldn't be doing this, right? But first we want the projects to be revoked, 100%. We want that. The youth today is standing here to ask you to revoke the projects 100%. We want clarity on where the project's permission have been granted because according to us, there is no proper paperwork. So again, what I'm saying is be transparent with us. Do not use a tokenistic approach. We will no longer partake in your these projects while they are still in motion, right? We will not be a part of your PR stunts anymore. Revoke these projects and your actions will be amended, and only then we will listen and talk. And in 2022, we will remember. I would like to end by saying this. Revoke the projects and then maybe we can have a discussion. And I can bring my 5-year-old niece to explain what development is, or even better, what sustainable development is. Now to transition to
something you have already heard before. It is about the ecological value of Mollem National Park as well as the Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. I'm sure that you know that Mollem National Park as well as the larger Western Ghats region is part of the it's a 150 million year old ecosystem. It is older than the Himalayas, and it is something that has been awarded. It's a biodiversity hotspot. It's one of the 36 biodiversity hotspots in the world. And I think all of you knowing how lucky we are to have the biodiversity that Goa has right now, the fact that we have a biodiversity hotspot in Goa is a very, very big deal. Including the rich biodiversity we have, we also receive all of our water resources from these particular forests. So the Mandovi actually comes from these forests, and any kind of destruction to this particular area will most definitely result in destruction to our water reserves as well as to other ecological reserves. In a very important report in 2019, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is the foremost authority of climate change in the world, made a statement that the Western Ghats is one of the most resilient ecosystems to climate change. This is extremely important as a very, very few ecosystems in the world are actually resilient to climate change. Maintaining the integrity of the Western Ghats allows Goa to have better adaptation strategies for climate change. But why should Goa care about climate change? It's basically because we are a coastal state, which means that if we do not put in policies to prevent climate change, we will actually be quite likely flooded in a couple of years, and that is something we don't want. And the interesting thing that the Goa government is doing right now is it actually started something called a climate change action plan over the past couple of months. But this is quite hypocritical because, to be very honest, if the Goa government wants to do something about climate change, what it really needs to do is to protect Mollem National Park and the rest of the Western Ghats, because these rainforests are actually what regulates our climate. In addition to helping us being resilient to climate change, the forests have hundreds of wildlife species that are included in the Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 of the Wildlife Protection Act, which is the most important protection given under the law. These include the tiger, the dhole, the mouse deer, gaur, and the Indian pangolin, as well as thousands of other species. It also comes within the Dandeli Anshi Tiger Reserve, and it is very important tiger corridor. And while the rest of the world is doing everything in its possible capacity to protect the last remaining tiger species, the Goa government seems to be doing everything in its power to actually prevent tigers being conserved. In addition, destruction of the Mollem Wildlife Sanctuary and the other parts of the Western Ghats will also propagate what we are very commonly now know as zoonotic diseases such as coronavirus, which has probably put us in the situation we're in is because we have previously destroyed large sections of forest. Being in the middle of a pandemic, the government has still passed these 3 projects, knowing that destruction of forest areas puts humans more in contact with wildlife and actually increases the possibility of zoonotic diseases coming in. And in terms of a legal perspective, if we look at the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, there are 2 sections that are really important. Section number 29 and section 35(6) states that no destruction whatever can be made to the land and waterways of any wildlife sanctuary or national park unless it is for the improvement and the better management of the national park. Please tell me how a railway, a highway, and a transmission line is beneficial to wildlife and the wildlife sanctuary. If this is not the case, then this is a clear violation of the Wildlife Protection Act already, and these projects should not go ahead. The 3 linear projects are fragmenting Goa's main protected area into 3 chunks. This will destroy the integrity and the protected area forever. Once you destroy a 150-million-year-old forest, then no amount of afforestation or mitigation measures will ever bring back the forest to its pristine state. We as the young people of Goa will not let our leaders make careless decisions on our behalf. We will not be known as the generation that loses our forests. We are and will continue to do everything in our collective power to safeguard Goa's forests. Thank you. I now introduce Ian, who is the youngest member of our panel. He's 10 years old and he will be giving the next section of our press conference, so I really urge you to listen to him.
Hello, I'm Ian Montero, and what are our values? We cultivate and practice the change we want to see in our society. We don't look away from the truth. We lean on each other when the truth brings up hard facts. We remember that we stand for something bigger than each of us, something that is a part of each of us. We recognize the hope comes from our belief that we are doing the right thing and we are doing it together. We work on holding ourselves responsible and being accountable agents of change. In this way, we can feel no hesitation in holding each other and our elected representatives fully accountable and responsible. We understand we have periods, action, and pause, and both are necessary for long-term well-being of what we do. We are, however, responsible for handling our roles to keep the momentum going. As Vikram De Silva, a young budding naturalist, said, "We need to change, but first you and me."
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'll be talking about our goals. Our goals are to spread awareness and rebuild connection to our unique and irreplaceable forests, ensure that our forests are protected and managed to the best possible extent, to articulate a vision of development that we, the citizens, do want to see in Goa, grounded in local, cultural, scientific, and legal values. This vision of development does not involve destroying forests. We strive to safeguard and create a Goa that future generations can thrive in, based on the principle of intergeneration equality and 7 generations of stewardship. Now, as the young people of Goa, we put forth our 5 demands.
Hi, I'm Mollem Pereira, and I have 5 demands. And yeah, my name is Mollem Pereira, and we are having 5 demands to the government. And maybe after these demands are met, we may have a discussion and to this project. Our first demand is send immediate representation to MOEF and CC to scrap the wildlife clearances granted to the 3 linear infrastructure projects by the Standing Committee of National Board on 7th of April 2020. What this means is that we demand the Goa government to write a representation to Ministry of Environment and Forest to scrap the wildlife clearances given to these 3 projects. Why? The wildlife clearances are supposed to be based on the decision of the State Wildlife Board. The State Wildlife Board members have come out in opposition to all these 3 projects. The EIA has not been considered, and the EIA reports are not well studied and scientific. And although all these projects are passing through the same sanctuary and will happen at the same time, therefore, there should be a cumulative impact assessment that has to be done, and these are not in the interest of wildlife. The National Wildlife Board has not covered this project efficiently, and they have been cleared over video conference in the lockdown. Such projects should not be considered in the wildlife sanctuary. If these projects are carried out, they should be done outside the protected area. The section 29 and 35C states that no such activity can be permitted in the wildlife sanctuary unless it is beneficial to the wildlife or wildlife sanctuary. These projects do not benefit the sanctuary and wildlife in any way. In fact, these are irreversibly destructive and damaging. Now that we have told you why, let us tell you what the government can do. We first ask the Chief Minister, who is the chairperson of the State Wildlife Advisory Board, to send an immediate representation to the Union Minister of Environment and Forest, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, who is the chairperson of the National Board of Wildlife, to scrap the wildlife clearances granted to these 3 linear projects. Now my friend Romeo Tyes will tell you the second demand.
देव बरी सांस आहे तुमका हांव रोमियो कालांगूट कॉन्स्टिट्युएन्सीसान आयला आनी तुमका एक धाकटुले जे आमचे यूथ हांगा भायर सरला तुमकां सांगपाचें आहा सेंड रिप्रेजेंटेशन टू द रिजनल कमिटी ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट एंड क्लायमेट चेंज एट बेंगलुरू टू क्रॉस स्टेज 2 फॉरेस्ट क्लियरेंस for Shelde Mapsa line dated 19 November 2020 for 69.41 hectares of forest through the eco-sensitive zone of the Bondla Wildlife Sanctuary. In addition, squash 3 forest clearances granted for Mapsa Shelde transmission line, Shelde transmission line and approach road to substation at Sangod dated 29 April 2020. सांगपाचें कितें आहा आमी आमच्या माननीय चीफ मिनिस्टराक मागणी करता की जे ही परमिशनां दिलेली आसा ती रिवोक करपाची ताणें एक लेटर फक्त एक लेटर दिवपाचो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट आनी फॉरेस्ट आनी क्लायमेट चेंज बेंगलोर आनी तांकां सांगपाचें जे क्लियरन्सीस फॉरेस्ट क्लियरन्स दिला तांकां रिवोक करपाचे जे गोवा तामनार प्रोजेक्ट ही संस्थेक दिला तांकां अशें म्हणून हांव देव बरें करूं म्हणटा आनी आमचे मॅडम सबीराक फुडलीं उतरां सांगपाक सांगता.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sabira Sheikh, and we as youth we have a demand that direct the Goa Forest Department not to issue any order allowing non-forest activity on forest land under Section 2 of the Forest Conservation Act 1980 pursuant to Stage 1 clearance dated 29th April 2020 and Stage 2 forest clearances dated 19th November 2020 for Goa Tamnar project. What this means is that the Chief Minister, who is the chairperson of the State Wildlife Advisory Board, and the Forest Minister, who is the vice chairperson, should direct the Goa Forest Department to not to issue any work orders and allow tree felling. The projects also affect the Karnataka side and they have not got forest clearances. So why is the Goa government going ahead with the projects when the Karnataka side is not? We do demand that the Chief Minister and the Forest Minister use their chair to issue this simple direction to the Forest Department. So we say that to revoke this project and we can have proper conversation. So I have next my friend Princey will come up with the next one.
First of all, good evening to everybody here. I am Princy Katya and I'm from Naksha. So the fourth demand is direct the Goa FD and MOEF to reject the 7 pending forest clearance proposals applied by the project proponents. PWD for road, SWR for rail, and Goa Tamnar Starlight for transmission line. This is not rocket science. This is the easiest step for the Chief Minister and Forest Minister to take. You only need to direct the Goa Forest Department to return the proposals back to Goa Tamnar, Southwestern Railways and the PWD, who are the user agencies. The projects end there. Thank you. Next up, we have Valerie to put up the fifth demand.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of all the youth, our fifth demand is to stop all work related to double laying of railway line by SWR on non-forest land in violation of the guidelines under the Forest Conservation Act 1980. We demand that you stop work related double tracking on non-forest land given that you don't have all the clearances and are again trying to pass projects in a piecemeal manner which cannot be used to pressurize us. Lawyers have also sent in their representations stating the guidelines of the Forest Conservation Act. It states that if you don't have all the clearances, don't start the work. The lawyers have pointed to the need for the government to follow due process and the law of the land. Get all the permission and only then start the work. And don't waste our public money. Thank you. I request Darina to read out the press note.
As youth from across Goa, we have gathered here to address a press conference at the Social Justice Hall in Panjim on the 5th of December 2020. We call upon every single Goan and lover of our precious Goa today to put your age, religion, and political affiliation aside and rise as one Goa. Our first and main demand to the government is that we ask you to stop tokenism about engagement with us. You can't approve a project in public interest without both due process and our consent and then tell us we can talk about it. It is clear. First, revoke the clearances related to Mollem and then start discussions. Second, on one hand, you put up the Goa State Action Plan for Climate Change and ask for comments, and on the other hand, you go ahead with the projects despite the youth, and not just the youth, but scientists, doctors, lawyers, architects, veterinarians, and so many more, sending numerous representations citing the irreversible damage of destroying Mollem National Park and Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, which is Goa's largest protected area that is a part of a global biodiversity hotspot. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, in 2019 shows how the Western Ghats have given us resilience to climate change and will allow for better adaptation against the effects of climate change. By not revoking clearances and destroying the Western Ghats, you are destroying our future. And this tokenism is not only blatantly apparent, but also contradictory in nature. Our goals and values as the youth of Goa are clear. Our vision for development does not involve destroying forests, and we will strive to safeguard and create a Goa that future generations can thrive in. We will not compromise in our intergenerational equity. Our natural resources are our shared inheritance, and it is the duty of the present government and all of us in Goa to ensure that future generations inherit at least as much as we did of a state that is truly worth fighting for. Third, many times the Goa government has tried to feign ignorance about these Mollem projects as being central projects, and we will not allow you to feign ignorance anymore. Be brave enough to take up responsibility. Stop passing the buck. We would like to categorically state that the Goa government knows about these three proposals from its inception. In fact, they have forwarded these proposals based on approval granted by the Chief Wildlife Warden and recommendation of Goa State Board for Wildlife to the central government. We like to remind the government to remind themselves of our treasured Constitution of India. As per the 7th schedule of the Constitution, our forests and wildlife appear on the concurrent list. Thus, the state and the center has equal power to take decision on them, and moreover, the final decision on forest diversion lies with the state. Fourth, we now ask the government of Goa to stop this widespread destruction, and we are willing to tell them the process on how they can do it. We first ask you, the Chief Minister of Goa, who is the chairperson of the State Wildlife Advisory Board, to send an immediate representation to the Union Minister of Environment and Forests, who is the chairperson of the National Board of Wildlife, to scrap the wildlife clearances given to the 3 linear infrastructure projects. You need to send a similar representation to the Regional Committee of the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change at Bengaluru to ask them to quash the forest clearances granted for the Mapsa-Sheldon transmission line, the Sheldon transmission line, and the approach road to substation at Sangor. Fifth, apart from these 2 relatively simple and straightforward letters that we put forth as a demand, we ask you to direct the Goa Forest Department not to issue any work orders to fell trees for the Goa-Tamnar transmission line and to stop all work related to railway double tracking on non-forest land, else you will have to face our agitations and uprising of many more youth across the state of Goa. To sum up, the final and easiest step to revoke these clearances as the Chief Minister and Forest Minister, you only need to direct the Goa Forest Department to return these proposals back to Goa, Tamnar, Western Railways and the PWD. Through the fight for Amshe Mollem, we remember that we stand for something that is bigger than each of us, and a Goa that is part of each of us. We are not only doing the right thing for our state, but we are doing it together to stop the widespread destruction of our forests that matter to each one of us. Ultimately, we are the youth. We envision a thriving planet for ourselves and our children yet to come. You may constantly say that these protests are politically motivated or influenced by a foreign hand. Please stop covering behind these excuses and be courageous enough to accept that we, the youth, are fighting now for our planet, our only home and our future. And you, who forgot you are our representatives, but deluded by being in power, are taking this future away from us. We ask once again for our voices to be heard and these clearances to be revoked, else in the days ahead, our voices will only get stronger.
प्रेसाचे कितें प्रश्न आमचे लागीं आमच्या पॅनला लागीं विचारपाचे आसत जाल्यार आतां विचारल्यार बरें जातलें.
Any NIO report is there with you? What will be the overall impact NIO report, National Institute of Oceanography?
I don't see how the NIO report is needed for this. There are multiple reports done by scientists. There are multiple representations sent by scientists to say that these projects are ecologically not sound. So basically, multiple letters have been sent by various scientists. Now what? Yeah, so multiple scientists have sent letters to the Centrally Empowered Committee of the Supreme Court, to the Ministry of Environment and Forests, to the Regional Empowered Committee of the Supreme Court, stating the various issues as to why these projects are ecologically damaging. The environmental impact assessments of all three projects are not scientifically carried out, and there's not due process being done for the three projects. But most importantly, the three projects need to have a cumulative impact assessment, which is not being carried out, which means that all three projects need to be considered as one large project affecting Mollem National Park, and that is not being done. So until any of this is done, it's pointless actually having a conversation. The projects have to be revoked, and then should the projects be really required, they should be done with due process, following the law, not like it's being done right now.
Basically, as the project is going ahead, my simple question was, any NIO report is there? Have you checked any NIO report?
There's no NIO report relevant for this. The National Institute of Oceanography is an oceanographic organization. The Mollem National Park is a terrestrial.
It carries the rivers too.
For sure, possibly, but there's not really a requirement. The main thing that's
As
really
to you.
needed. Sorry?
As to you?
I can speak as an ecologist in this regard. The main thing for the particular ecology within the Mollem National Park is that we look at the ecology within the wildlife. We look at the Wildlife Protection Act, the Forest Protection, the Forest Conservation Act, and there are multiple scientists that have stood up that are much more credible than I am to say that these projects are not ecologically sound and should not be taken forward. So I don't see why you are asking for an NIO report. I feel like you're trying to divert the conversation from what is actually needed.
Okay, my second question, as you said, it will going to violate some things, roads cannot be come under the national, the sanctuaries and all.
Yeah.
Will you challenge this in any of the court if the time comes?
The challenge has already been in court. It's actually in court as of now. So yes, can be challenged in court, and it is being challenged in court as of now.
Thank you.
ओके आमचे प्रश्न आमी आतां गव्हर्मेंटा मुखार दवरूंक सोदतात. सो आमचे यूथ गव्हर्मेंटा मुखार प्रश्न दवरतले. सो
Hi, good evening. My name is Matson. The first question, here it goes. Why has 23 crores, 34 lakhs and 25,830 rupees being paid to the Karnataka government by Sterlite for compensatory afforestation in Karnataka, and the forests of Goa are being lost? There is in addition a violation of the law in allowing compensatory afforestation to happen in Karnataka.
Good evening, everyone. My next question to the government is, my name is Mercy Fernandez. My question to the government is, why was the EIA approved despite conflict of interest and so many faults? For example, the mammal population is underestimated, no families affected is not mentioned, less duration of camera placing, no open-ended questions for the families, etc. In addition to that, each water sample tests positive for E. coli as per reports, which are 2 to 5 times that of permissible range, and it suggests that railway expansion will worsen it. Yet, no heed is paid to that. Why?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shubham Kanvalkar. We have sent so many formal representations to the government, but till now, not even one has been acknowledged. Why cannot the government acknowledge our questions? Why cannot the government answer our questions? Are we not the people or the citizen of the state? Or who is the government representing?
Good evening, I'm Conchita Montero. My question to the government is, Why was a company like Sterlite given protection even before the project was approved? Why was Goa police protection given to them when the same Sterlite company has human violations against it, wherein in Tuticorin 13 people were shot dead for protesting against the Sterlite plant happening there. So isn't the government bothered about the welfare and the security of its own citizens?
Good evening. My name is Anita. So my question is, the electric survey report says that the electricity required for domestic purpose is met. Then who are the beneficiaries of the Tanmar project, and why is the government in a hurry to collaborate with the private company?
Good evening, everyone. I have a rather simple question. As per the Forest Survey of India, Goa's forest cover is 33.4%. If the three projects are passed, this will bring down the percentage to a drastic 30.4%. How is this being even allowed, and why still is the afforestation being planned in Karnataka?